All right, I have 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call the Tazewell County Board meeting to order. John, if you could call the roll.
Atkins.
Here.
Crawford.
Here.
Deppert.
Here.
Mark Goddard. Sam Goddard. Grant.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Hopkins.
Here.
Joseph.
Here.
Longfellow.
Here.
Mennel.
Here.
Mingus.
Here.
Nels. Paget.
Here.
Frail.
Here.
Rich Simpson.
Here.
Schmidtgall.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Sen.
Here.
Stahl.
Here.
Chairman Zimmerman.
Here. We have a quorum. We'll do business. If we could rise for the invocation and pledge.
Heavenly Father, thank you again for the privilege of gathering together in a free country where we can debate these issues that come before us. As we enter the Thanksgiving season, Father, just pray that we can just focus on what you've given us and the blessings that we have every day, and just make us mindful of those things and express that gratitude to those around us. Thank you for this board and for the new board coming in. I pray that we can deliberate these issues in a way that honors you, and just move forward as friends as we leave here. Thank you for our employees. Thank you for all the citizens of Tazewell County. Just thank you for being just a great God. I pray that we can be stewards of what you've entrusted to us, and that we can honor you in everything we say and do. And just thank you for the recent elections, Father. Whether your side won or lost, just the privilege of living in a free country, and what you've given us, I pray that we take that responsibility serious. We know that you're sovereign, and we love you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I did not receive any communications from members of the public or county employees. Communications from elected and appointed county officials. John, you had an announcement you wanted to make?
Just wanted to remind the board members of 2 upcoming dates. On November the 27th at 8:30 in courtroom 308, the countywide elected officers will be sworn in. Again, that's November the 27th at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 308. The countywide elected officers will be sworn into office. On December 2nd at 8 a.m. here at the Justice Center will be the county's reorganization meeting where the county board members will be sworn in. Again, December the 2nd at 8 a.m. here in the Justice Center, the county reorganization meeting and the swearing in of the county board members will take place. So just wanted to make sure you were aware of those 2 dates. Thank you.
Any other communications? Brett?
Thanks for those of you who will be around in a while. You'll see me use these a lot, so forgive me for this. A little bit of time on this. I want to talk a bit about the building and the question on the agenda tonight with approving the GMP. The question has never been asked during this process nor volunteered of what can't we do if this money is spent. I think that's the knowledge the board should have. I saw a sign one time that read, "Let's just assume that I'm never wrong." It's always stayed with me as being small-minded and arrogant, but I don't think that any of the people on this board have that sort of attitude. I believe that everyone is humbly working to make the best decisions with the best information. There are only 5 business days left in this board's term. I'm going to ask that you guys would consider tabling this for 3 or 4 months so that you allow us to answer the opportunity to answer the questions that haven't even been asked. PJ Harrod and Wold will continue to bring us the best product. They don't have to have this vote solidified tonight. Delaying actually allows them to get more accurate numbers for us. The claim made a property last week of wanting to make sure that a new board gets the old board's intention. I can assure you that we understand. I'm simply now asking for you to do what's right for your new colleagues on the board and the citizens whose money we are spending, not to continue the lame duck decisions that so happen often in this state, which forget the best interests of our neighbors. And that said, however you guys vote and whatever you do, it's perfectly fine by me. I'm not angry, I'm not mad, we'll deal with this as it comes, but I would ask that you have the respect for the people coming on to get more information than what you've had to move forward on this.
All right, former board member Joe Roberts from Darren LaHood's office requested to speak. Pardon? Could you please?
Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you. This is different for us, Dave. Usually there's a menu in between us when I talk to you, so yeah, we're usually having lunch.
A little food on my shirt.
Yeah, at One World Cafe. Congressman LaHood sends his regrets. Trust me when I tell you you'd rather be here than in DC. Yeah. So I have a congressional record to read tonight. The House of Representatives commending David Zimmerman on 20 years of service to Tazewell County. This was entered into the congressional record on November 20th, 2024. Today I rise to recognize Dave Zimmerman for his decades of service to the Central Illinois community. Zimmerman served on the Tazewell County Board for 27 years and was chairman of the board for the last 16 years, which your wife probably thinks is 10 years too many. Zimmerman graduated from Illinois State University with a degree in political science and began his service to Tazewell County Board in 1997. Before becoming chairman, Zimmerman held many responsibilities as board member, including finance, HR, insurance review, and land use chair. During his tenure on the board, Zimmerman positively influenced the lives of his constituents by improving the well-being of Tazewell County. Outside of his work with the Tazewell County Board, Zimmerman has served the people of Central Illinois through different public service roles. Examples include Greater Peoria Economic Development Commission, Executive Board, United Counties Council of Illinois, Vice President, Tazewell County and Peoria Salvation Army Board Member, and Berean Prison Ministry Board Member, among others. A strong leader within Central Illinois community. Zimmerman was also recognized in the Peoria Magazine through their 40 Leaders Under 40 Award, which was a few years ago, I'm thinking. David Zimmerman's decades-long efforts have left a lasting impact on the Greater Peoria community and the state of Illinois. His commitment to our community is truly inspiring, and I wish him the best in all of his future endeavors. Congressman Darren LaHood.
Tell Representative LaHood, thank you. Thank you, Joe. All right, presentation of plaque to David Zimmerman. So,
on behalf of the board, Tazewell County recognizes and congratulates J. David Zimmerman. What's the J stand?
the J doesn't stand for anything. My parents scarred me for life. So, it's just an initial.
For his 27 years of dedicated and committed services to the citizens of Tazewell County, as a member of the county board during the period of May 1997 through November 2008, and as chairman of the county board from 2008 through November 2024. The Tazewell County Board extends to David its deep appreciation and gratitude for his service to Tazewell County residents and taxpayers, and offers its best wishes for health and happiness. Congratulations, David.
So I just wanted to say a couple of quick words so that when our meeting's done, you don't have to
listen to me, you can just leave here. But, so this morning I was reading in my Bible, Genesis 32, 10, it says, I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. And that's what I feel that Tazewell County's done. God's blessed me for sure. I want to thank my wife, my awesome wife, for their patience and support. You guys know how much time this job takes, and our families really sacrifice so that we can serve. It's been a privilege to serve Tazewell County and to do it with people like you guys and gals. There is that Tim Tebow quote I say a lot, that my team makes me look a lot better than I am. And that's so true. I want to thank our employees and our regional partners, and the mayors, the counties around us. I think we work really well together. And my goal is when I started that I could leave this county in better financial shape than when we started. And that was a hard task because, the Jim Carriuses, the Greg Sins, the Russ Crawfords, our county was in solid financial shape. But I think we reached that goal that this county is in great financial shape right now. And it's because of the decisions that you guys have made. David Jones, Mike Freilinger, Wendy Farrell, and now Mike Delary have just done a marvelous job for our county. The last 4 years have been a little difficult between COVID, our computer hack, and then 3 words I hope I never hear again in my life. Wind farms, solar farms, CO2 pipeline. So, will you second that, Elton?
I second that.
Okay, there we go. So just real quick here, I think I've taken 1,500 trips to Pekin. I've advocated, said the prayer for 27 years. Made 18 board appointments. It's been a good run. I think our finance department is exceptionally professional, as is our HR. We just opened up the new health department building. If you didn't have a chance to get there yesterday, what a marvelous building, and you guys did that. And thank you for that. And hopefully the judicial annex after tonight. And we did that, and we still have one of the lowest tax rates in the state of Illinois. So we have a lot to be proud of here, and I just want to thank you guys for making us all look good. So I'll miss you guys. Maybe not too much. Maybe I'll flip on Facebook once in a while, but it's been a pleasure to know all of you. So thank you guys. So at each one of your stations, I left a poem. David Jones had this on his wall in his office. And when he left, I asked if I could get a copy of this. And I just think it's just awesome for the message that's contained in there. And I hope you guys take this to heart also. So that's it. All right, so can I get a motion to approve the minutes from October 30th and county board and final budget? Motion by Stahl, second by Mennel. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We have 3 in-place meetings. In-place health. Chairman Hall.
Sure. Roll call, please.
Chairman Hall.
Here.
Vice Chair Sin.
Here.
Goddard. Hopkins. Here. Longfellow.
Here.
Paget.
Here.
Schmidtball.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, I need a motion to get HS 2428. Motion. From Greg Sin. Second by Longfellow. Okay, I recommend approve agreement with the city of East Peoria for animal control service. Living, would you mind describing what this is?
So this is just our standard 2025 animal control services contract according to the 4-year increase that we agreed upon. The only difference is we couldn't quite get the signatures in time for the meeting, so that's why.
Very good. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We are in recess.
Thank you, Jay. In-place finance, Chairman Graff.
Call finance to order. Sandy, call roll, please.
Chairman Graff.
Here.
Vice Chair Schneider.
Here.
Atkins.
Here.
Deppert.
Here.
Goddard. Harris.
Here.
Longfellow.
Here.
Mennel.
Here.
Mingus.
Here.
Trail. Here. Simpson. Here. Stahl.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Can I get a motion to get F2444 on the table? Recommend to approve agreement with Hart Technologies for purchase and deployment of workstations. Mr. Stahl and Mr. Schneider. Mike, are you taking that one?
Yes, this is our annual purchase of our laptops and our PCs. And with Hard Technologies, we would work with them to purchase them, get them ready to go and deploy. So this is would be a yearly item that we would do.
Mr. Stahl?
I have some questions about the resolution. The language in the middle is a little disheartening to me. It says it's not competitive bidding. Could you eliminate that?
Yes, with outsourcing our IT, we now no longer have the in-house IT to be able to prepare the PCs and get them ready. And so this is where we use Hard Technologies to determine what equipment we need to purchase, and then they would also be deploying them. So the technology that we need needs to be installed on there. And part of the multi-year agreement that we had with Hard was that we would have time and materials cost to be able to do these type of activities as they come up. So this was somewhat included in the original agreement, but just with their price tag, I thought it would be good to bring forward.
Okay, thanks. And listen, it's unfair for me to do this, but I went on earlier, I just went to HP's website, and I looked up these same models, I looked up everything, essentially the same, and I came up with, $50,000 difference, and that's just me getting online. It doesn't include setup, it doesn't include any installation or anything like that. If I'm rough about it, I'm looking at like $50,000, that they're getting paid to do the install and the setup on these computers. And because there's no bid, I don't know if that's a good price or not. So I'm not sure. I think we're talking about 5-year technology upgrades. I'm not comfortable, I'm not gonna vote for this, but I'm not comfortable with this process. I think in the future, in 5 years, we should get a competitive bid.
Yeah.
And with the, part of the cost is the deployment of it, so it's estimated to be about 4 hours per PC to be able to get it completely ready to go and deployed in-house here. So there is that cost for 110 laptops, or 110 PCs plus 15 laptops. We have 4 hours of work based on the billable time in the original contract. It does add up to quite a bit now. Have worked out with them that they will just charge us what they actually use, and we do have some technicians in-house that we contract to be here on a weekly basis. And if they're able to use their time, then we wouldn't be billed as much. But so basically, this is the cap of what we'd be charged. It could potentially be lower depending on the rollout and the timing of all of it.
I didn't see any language in there about disposal of the old machines. Are we gonna be on the hook for that?
We do have to work with a company to be able to properly get rid of the e-waste, correct? They help us coordinate through that.
Mr. Stein?
Yeah, my question is for you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, how do you feel about this? I mean, it's almost $250,000, and it sounds like it's gonna be reoccurring, and I don't disagree with anything Mike says, but I just, as the finance chairman, and not getting a second bid for something so large is a little bit unusual, I would say, for what we do here, but I'll leave it to you.
I think it's one of the issues that we face by using a sole source vendor for our software. For our IT needs. This is a situation that resulted from the hack that we all learned our lesson on. I suppose we could go back. I don't know what it would do to the cost or whatever to try to see if there's another way to do this, but I trust the vendor that we're using, and I think it's a fair contract. On the other hand, I think Mike and his team need to take notice of the board's concern on this one, and certainly if there's a way to further get price estimates or a further breakdown for future bids, I think that's wise as well.
Yes, we can definitely work on that. I would also note that there is a higher education co-op under state statute. It's both Illinois and some other states that are all involved. And part of what they try to do is get reduced prices for community colleges and the various universities. And HART did go through the process, look at what those pricing is, and it did meet what the discounts are that co-op is able to obtain. So I think with the level of PC that we make sure we get for our organization and what we're paying, they are making sure that we're getting a very good price that I feel comfortable with. But we can certainly get more of a breakdown in the future.
Mr. Harris?
They said 150 workstations at 4 hours a workstation, 600 hours, and divide that into $50,000, comes out to $65 an hour for their labor.
Mr. Crawford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, because I'm not on the committee, but I have a question. Mr. Holly, you've listened to the discussion. You understand our board rules and you understand state law. Do you have any comments upon not putting up this off for bid?
Well, I guess the contract does have a provision that allows for additional work to be done by ARC. So what Mike is telling you is accurate regarding that contract language. The decision of whether to bid something out or not, whether it's conducive to bidding, is really ultimately a board determination based on the facts and circumstances. So this contract did have a provision allowing for additional work. If the board in any case wants to bid something out because they think that is a better option, that's always a possibility. Whether it's required for bidding or whether it's just a voluntary decision by the board. There are certain situations where bidding is required under state statute, but that doesn't mean that bidding can't be used voluntarily. So really it's based on the discussion and the decision making of the board as far as what the circumstances that face the county are. In this situation, if you choose to bid out, and accept bids for workstations and computers, then you're left with a situation where the company who's contracted with the county to do IT installation, maintenance of the network, all of that is doing that work maybe based on a computer purchase that you've done through a different company. Legally, I don't have the knowledge to tell you whether that's the right decision for the county or not. That's a decision based on what the factors would be with the IT department, whether they think that's something that's possible, what the obstacles would be with having that as your situation. With one company doing an install of a product that maybe they're not familiar with. So again, that's up to you as decision makers to determine whether that's the situation that you think is best for the county, or whether you think that situation would result in this not being conducive to bidding.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Hopkins?
That created a question that I would have then specific to Hart. If we bought the laptops individually, they would still want to be the ones probably to put all this information on laptops for security reasons, I would imagine.
They would have to, correct.
So the only thing that we would say would, in that case, I would guess, I'm not saying that we're wrong in looking at this, but would be possibly on the price of the laptops and the PCs, not on the time itself.
Correct. The deployment has to be from Hart since they are our technology vendors. And like I said, they're matching what a multi-state co-op has been able to get for discounts. So I feel comfortable with it.
Other questions? Okay, this is for finance only. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You get that, Tim? Motion carried. Moving on then to item F2449, resolution lost my agenda, to approve replacement of purchase of squad car funded by risk management. Can I get a motion to get that on the floor? Mr. Atkins, Mr. Deppert, Mr. Delury.
Yes, we had a squad car that had an accident and now needs to be replaced. So this would be authorizing us to be able to purchase it. This would be through fiscal year 25 that we would actually be obtaining it, but the sheriff is ready to be able to procure the vehicle quickly.
Any questions? Being one of those who has wrecked a county squad car in my life, I feel for the, actually 3, but who's counting? One of them was a here, sorry. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on then to item F 2450, recommend to approve agreement with Hart Technologies to install fiber ring connecting the downtown buildings. Can I get a motion to get that on the floor? Mr. Snyder, Mr. Atkins, go ahead.
Yes, the fiber connecting the buildings is outdated, so Hart did a study of it to see, looking into the future, how should we best design it, the connectivity to the buildings that we intend to remain as part of our campus. And so this creates, kind of what it mentions, a ring. The long-term result would be having the new Justice Center Annex be the main hub, and then it would connect this building, the McKenzie building, the courthouse, and then back to the Justice Center in a loop. So if there's any issues on one side of it, then you can have connectivity still coming out of the other side. So it's implementing best practice on having that redundancy and also updating with the latest fiber lines in between the buildings. So this would be the last of the major technology upgrades that we're needing to do to help address the cyber attack and being aware of some of the needs for these major infrastructure improvements.
Are there any questions? Mr. Harris?
Does this fall under the same guise as the first motion?
It does, where Hart is in charge of that connectivity, and that's where this is contracting with them as our IT vendor to be able to install the fiber lines.
Ms. Crown?
Well, I guess, perhaps I just overlooked it, but I can't see any price for this separate. Is it in some of our packet that I probably missed?
It
Look.
should be, but I will pull
What
it.
would the cost be for just this part?
There's 183,000 and there's
For the circle, for the rate?
183,865.
I assumed it was in there, I didn't send it across.
Mr. Snyder?
Question for Mike. We're sure this does not include the old post office building or the Tazewell Bank building or any buildings we're intending to sell in the next 24 to 36 months.
That's correct. We just focused on the buildings we did.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Stahl?
This may be unfair to ask you, but I would assume since all those buildings would be connected, this would help us on security, they'd be firewalled all together, so we wouldn't have an attack possibly in 3 different buildings or.
Yes, and that's where Hart has a number of security measures that they've implemented for us that help on multiple fronts, but certainly having this definitely helps with the technology. More and more courts are using streaming services as far as the video, so helping with the internet connectivity between the buildings and also getting to our different buildings. Right now we have the internet come into this building and then it feeds out to several other buildings, and so this will speed up the ability for those lines to handle the demand.
Any other questions? Ms. Braille, that's on page 14 of the finance packet.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if the annex is gonna be the hub, are we gonna have to come back and appropriate more money when that, when that's finished? I'm just wondering if it wouldn't make sense to wait and do the 4 buildings at that time.
We had a meeting with both Hart and the Lowell team to look at the design and how this would make sense, and they have agreed to do it in a way that prepares for it. So there's going to be fiber that'll be kind of bundled up and ready to go that can be fed to the new Justice Center once it's in place. So we've already done some planning ahead of time to make sure that there will be a smooth transition. There will be some additional work getting to the building once it's there, but they'll have all the groundwork ready to go.
Anything else? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? One question, Mike. I've got a revised transfer for animal control. Do we need to bring that up in the full board?
Yes, there was just one typo on the accounts at the very bottom in red. So on we get that pulled from consent agenda, please.
Thank you. I'm in recess. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. And we have an in-place executive committee. Sandy, could you call the roll, please?
Chair Zimmerman?
Here.
Vice Chair Harris.
Here.
Atkins.
Here.
Rapp.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Josines.
Here.
Longfellow.
Here.
Mennel.
Here.
Mingus.
Here.
Trail. Here. Rich Simpson. Here. Schneider.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, I'm gonna take A and B together. Can I get a motion for those? Motion by Hall, second by Schneider. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. We are out of executive committee. Brings us down to consent agenda. Item 15 just came out of committee. 33, 36, and 37. 46, 47, 27. Anything else to be pulled? 22, okay? Okay, I'm gonna go over it again. I have 15, 22, 27, 33, 36, 37, 46, and 47. Can I get a motion for the remainder? Motion by Crawford, second by Depper. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, I'll take the appointments when we get there. Let's go back to item 15. Can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Hopkins, second by Hall. This just came out of committee. Any other questions on this tonight? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. And another former county board member walking the room. Bill, welcome. All right, so can I get a motion for 22 to get this on the floor? Motion by Longfellow, second by Atkins. Max, you pulled this?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For those of you who were not at the property last week, I just wanted to hit a couple highlights. I had asked some questions to John Sullivan from PJ Air, and I think, is John here?
Yep.
Actually, can I stop you for a second, Max? Do you have anything that you'd like to present tonight, John, or Scott, or Matt? Yeah, let's do that first.
Yeah.
Just get some information on the floor. If you wanna come on up, John, that'd be great. Are you the spokesman for the three of you? Okay.
So I know a lot of you were here last week at the property committee meeting, and we went through what we've been doing for the last probably 30 days, plus or minus. So Wold Architects has come up with beginning of October, the 75% DD set of drawings. So for you guys' information, it starts out at schematic design, which is SD, then it goes to design development, which is DD, and then after that it goes into construction documents, and we refer to those as CDs. So just so you know, we're at 75% at the beginning of October. We started preparing the estimate for those set of drawings. And that's what we started with conceptual budget in the very first column. And then as we were going through that process, Wold Architects was able to come up with the 95% DD set of drawings that had a lot more detail than what we were currently working with. So then we started the second column, and we sent those drawings out to some subcontractors and suppliers, and we're looking for information from them and pricing from them, because we felt that there was enough information on the drawings that they could come back with budgets so we could compare our budgets against someone that was the expert in that field. That's what the second column was. So Mike, if you'd scroll down to the bottom. So when we started with the initial set, our total project price was at $47 million, which was over our current budget. When we got the additional set of drawings that had more level of detail, which is the second column, $44,700,000, which is still above the budget. So what we did was we went back to Wold, and we looked at items that we could either change the scope, change materials, come up with a different way of design and looking at it, and with the idea of where can we reduce cost. You know, we went back to all the subs and suppliers and said, hey, does anything look extravagant or out of the norm? Is there anything that we can cut back on because we're slightly over budget and we need to have that buffer? So they came back with some ideas. We had some good ideas. We've worked back and forth with Wold on ways to reduce the cost. That is what you see in the third column. So that is our value engineering cost savings items, which leaves us right now at about $700,000 under the budget. Included in that budget is a contingency of $3.4 million, and then we also have in that budget the owner's FF&E, which is furniture, equipment. There's some things on the owner's side that they have to pay for, testing, construction inspections, miscellaneous things like that. We have $3 million as an allowance in that category. Furniture cost should be less than $1.5 million. So there's could be potential savings in that line item as well. We continue to work with Wold on additional cost saving items. We've got some changes to the glazing that we're looking at right now, a way to reduce some of the material cost and labor cost. We've looked at some changes to the masonry on the building and maybe doing a little bit less stone than what we had figured on originally. You know, there's still considerable money that we think that we could save as we get further in the design. Right now, total design, we're probably at 65 to 70%. Wold's schedule is to be done with design in February, and then we would go out with a full set of completed documents and go out for bid. As we continue on in this process, every time there's a savings, we reduce it from our total amount, and then that money goes into the contingency. At the end of the project, any of that savings in our contract reverts right back to the county. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Some of the items that we did for cost saving measures, there were some wood ceilings in the lobbies, outside the courtrooms. We looked at reducing that and going with standard ceiling tile. There was some small bit of vinyl wall covering in some areas that we thought that, you know, it wouldn't hurt the quality of the building or the durability by reducing that in areas. The biggest savings that we realized is the building, because the basement is occupied and probation's in the basement, we were trying to raise the level of the basement up to be able to get windows in that lower level. So that forced us to have the basement sticking up out of the ground 6 foot, which then required the entry stair, employee stair with a wheelchair lift, added a lot of cost to the project. So we said, well, if we could eliminate that, reduce the height of the basement, put it in the ground deeper, go with what they call a living window that will simulate natural daylight in those offices, you know, that was $500,000 worth of savings. So just looking at things like that, we will continue to look at those items as we continue through the design.
Are there any questions for John? Russ?
Hi, John. I was here in property and I heard your full explanation. But I had a question then that I didn't ask, which is highly unlikely for me, but I want to ask it now because you said the same word again. You talked about putting it back in contingency. When you say contingency, are you talking about the county's contingency line item in our budget, or are you talking about some contingency that you have in your planning budget?
So we can do it either way. So the contingency that you see on the line item here is for it's basically for the construction use. If there's any scope gaps or issues through construction or through the design process, we use that contingency to add or deduct, you know, it falls into that. When we get to the GMP and we get to the bidding process, we're going to take some of that contingency and that will go back to the county. Anything that's saved in the bidding process, that money would go back to the contingency that the county is carrying. So it's not necessarily our money, it goes back to the county. And then at the end of the project, any of the contingency that's not spent or any of the additional savings that are realized, that money all reverts back to the county. So it's kind of an open book of how we're doing all this pricing and how the bids come in. So we'll sit down, Mike will be involved in those, and everything's kind of an open book, so.
Thank you for that. My next question is, you were in the room, I saw you, I don't know if you paid attention or you heard the comments that incoming County Board Chairman Grimm made about this project. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Okay, my question to you is this. If the board paused for 30 days, most of these board members here are gonna be here after 30 days. But there are other board members who are coming on who were elected in a primary in March of this year and also in November 5th of this year, who are not here. My question is to you, if the board went along with that request from incoming Chairman Grimm, would that create an insurmountable problem for you?
Not at all.
Because we'd still be dealing with you. I mean, there may be the need to communicate to some of the new people if they haven't paid attention, which I have no idea whether they have or not. I don't even know how many new people are coming. Do you, Dave? Two people, so not many people. So you have no problem with either vote, up or down on this? Okay. And then what we do if we didn't vote for it, I assume we'd vote for this, within 30 or 60 days.
Yeah, so like we talked last time at the property committee meeting, different owners do the guaranteed max price at different times. So whether you do it tonight, or you do it a month from now, or 2 months from now, it doesn't matter to us. The difference is you're guaranteeing today that your project will not go any higher than this cost. If you wait till after all the bids come in, you're assuming the risk of whatever the market bears at that time.
Well, you mentioned, last comment, you mentioned cost. And the real reason,
Use your microphone, Russ.
well, I'm sorry, thank you. The real reason I'm worried, I'm concerned about the cost is I've been on the board since 1976. We've never had an expense like this since 76, and I'm sure we didn't have any prior to 1976. So I think it's really important. I don't want to have some sense of urgency on this with money like that. And I would point out too, I did ask people, finance chairman, the finance department, to create a communication to the public, which to my knowledge was never done. So that's another reason why I'm sort of supportive. Thank you for your help and particularly all the expertise that you and your firm bring to this massive, expensive project. Appreciate it.
Russ, you say sense of urgency. We've been on this project for 3.5 years. We set this timeline a year.
I mean only this resolution, Dave,
right.
not
we set this timeline a year ago, so.
Yeah.
And just in terms of dollars, I mean, we planned on $18 million for this facility 23 years ago, so it's really not that out of line, so I'll come back to the questions. John, anything else you want to add?
No, for us, we're your construction manager, so whatever you want us to do, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, Nick?
So what I'm hearing you say is, if we pass this tonight, the building could not cost the county any more, unless we make changes, obviously. But we're locking in a price of $44,042,000 and change. The price of steel goes up next week, something happens in the world that goes up next week. That price cannot go up from today.
Correct.
And if the price of steel drops or any savings that we see between now and build come back to the county.
Correct.
So this seems like a no-brainer to me, is why we wouldn't lock it in tonight. Thank you.
I have a question for John. Yeah.
Since you started this,
Yeah, we'll get back to you eventually. To Nick's point about guaranteeing the price, I think the counterpoint to that is if there's a critical piece of infrastructure in this building that costs more than we've allowed for here, and we've got a guaranteed maximum price, and everybody's aware of that, I'm afraid we are going to get into the same problem that most of you told me we had at the jail, where all of a sudden the bids came in higher and we had to start making cuts. Is that fair to say? I mean, if a critical piece of infrastructure comes in higher and exceeds the 44 million, your recommendation is going to be to do that, correct?
There's nothing that we've identified that could not be covered with the contingency that's in the project. So, I mean, we tried to anticipate anything that could happen. The difference with the Justice Center was that project was designed and then put out for bid, and then at bid time, wherever the numbers came in, that's where you're at. Here it's a little bit different process because we're working with the design team from the beginning,
Sure.
and we're trying to manage those costs as the design is being completed.
Okay. I've got a couple other things whenever John.
no, just, this building was estimated 18 million, it came in at 14 million. So, we were very pleasantly surprised. Max, go ahead.
Whenever John's done, I've got a couple things.
I don't have anything else.
Any more questions for John while he's here?
Two quick questions. One, you mentioned the value engineering. I know we talked a little bit about that. If you could expand on that. One point that I brought out was a countertop point brought in here, but just in general, the value engineering.
Yeah.
And then second question would be, and maybe it's just my inexperience in understanding, so how are we guaranteeing this maximum price? If they go over, are you guys paying for that?
Yeah, so the value engineering, that's a term that's used in construction for trying to come up with different ways to save cost on a job. We've looked at a lot of different things, and you've mentioned countertops. So when the drawings came out, we had a group of selected finishes. So tile, carpet, countertop material, ceiling tile, and trying to be thinking in advance if we were running over budget, or if the costs were coming in close to the budget, we had asked Wold and their interior design team, could you give us a alternate set of finishes that maybe look the same, that maybe it's a different tile manufacturer that has a cheaper tile than what your ideal would be, not, I guess, cheapening things up or giving you lesser quality. So one of the items was quartz countertops, which quartz countertops are expensive. You have to get them from a certain manufacturer. Here locally, there's cabinet shops that can do Corian or solid surface, and we're talking like the wall caps in the courtrooms, in a couple of the offices. They've got some counters, some of the stuff in the lobby. And we said, okay, there's a $50,000 savings by just changing the material type. Made sense to us. We can find a Corian or a solid surface type counter material that would look as good, maybe not as high end as quartz, but we thought that for $50,000 savings, that's probably the right move. We've got a bunch of those that we're still working through because we don't want to take the design and what Wold's done with the building and just come up with every idea that just cheapen things. So we're working with them to come up with things that are acceptable. And so we're still working through a list of those.
Bill? Bill?
I have a question about what exactly the guaranteed part of guaranteed maximum price means. It's been my experience with other construction projects that guarantees that will be what the price is. It doesn't guarantee that we'll get exactly what the materials are at the time of the guaranteed maximum price. Is this your guarantee that if the price goes over, It'll come out of your profits, you'll make up the difference. It won't be skimping on what the materials are or changing like the,
No.
if we've already said that it was going to be quartz, for instance, and then, we were over, you wouldn't substitute for mica in order to make it work. That's
No.
something that should have already been done at the point of the guaranteed maximum price,
Yeah,
correct?
so the guaranteed maximum price is based off the drawings that we currently have. And then anything that we changed is itemized. We've got in your packet, there's a whole list of clarifications and assumptions that are attached to that guaranteed maximum price that, you know, like we don't have any, true foundation drawings yet. You know, so we've made some assumptions and Wold's Engineers has given us, hey, we think this is what it's going to be, so we've listed those out. So anything that would change from this point on, one has to be approved by your architect that it's acceptable, and then it has to be approved by the county or the executive team that that's an acceptable change, and then there has to be some compensation aspect of that, a credit or.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we can't just decide what we're going to give you.
And so if we wait 3 or 4 months into the new year, what's that do for the bidding process and actually starting construction? Would that be in the fall then?
No, I mean, ideally, we wanna start as soon as we can in the spring, but, you know, we still have 30% of the design that still has to be completed. And we can't rush that process because that is the most critical process. We still have some user input meetings, with each department to make sure that as we go into the construction documents phase, that they're happy with their layouts and the offices and what they're getting. So this still takes quite a bit of time. I mean, we're still pushing Wold as hard as we can to let's get the drawings done as fast as we can, but we have to give them time. So right now, we're probably looking at a March start for some of the site work and foundation work, while they finish up all the final little details at that point. So it's the bidding, the sooner that we can get the job done and the design completed and bid, the better opportunity we have to save cost. Because you wanna get things through the winter months, so that contractors, you know, if there's not much to bid, they're gonna be a lot more aggressive, they're trying to get work for next year. So that's the whole goal.
Any other questions for John? Thanks, John, we may call you back up, but, Max, you have more questions?
Yeah, not more questions, just a couple additional things. I just want to echo the incoming board chairman Graham and Russ over here. I think this is a decision that needs to be made by the next board coming in. If we were just tying a bow on this building, like at this meeting, and it was, you know, 6 months from being completed, I could understand that. But we're really still just starting the process. And so I think it should be left up to the next board. We still do not have ownership of the 5 lots that this building is designed on. We still have to get those from the city of Pekin, which I think we will be able to get, but this city has been cantankerous before. So, having said all of that, I would like to make a motion to table this until the March board meeting.
Second.
Who was the second?
Russ.
Russ. Any discussion on the tabling, or can we discuss on the tabling motion? Okay, go ahead, Nick.
Thank you, Mr.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, there is no discussion on the tabling motion.
That is correct.
Okay. So does everybody understand that what we're doing here? Done this for 3.5 years, folks. We've had this timeline for a year.
That's called discussion.
You know what, Russ, I'm the chair, you're out of order.
You're out of
We-
order also, Mr. Chairman, you're talking and there's no discussion
Russ.
on the tabling motion.
Call the question, please.
I'm gonna finish my comments. We have $44 million in the bank. We have the money. And it's gonna come in that less. We have $13 million. Max, I'm the chairman of this meeting. When you run for chairman, you can do whatever you want, okay? So we have $13 million for the capital improvements in our reserves. Even with all this money, it's greater than 50%. So I don't get it. I don't get it. So we have a motion on the floor to table. We'll do roll call. A yes will table it, and no will bring the motion back.
Atkins,
Yes.
Crawford,
I've gotta ask a question. I was confused by Bill's. So, Dave, would you tell us what a yes is and what a no is?
A yes will table this till March.
Thank you. Yes.
Mark Goddard, Sam Goddard, Deppert,
No.
Graff,
No.
Hall,
No.
Harris,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Joesting,
No.
Longfellow,
No.
Minold,
No.
Mingus,
No.
Nelms,
No.
Paget,
Yes.
Frail,
No.
Rich Stimson,
No.
Schmidtall,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sen,
No.
Stahl,
Yes.
Okay, the motion to table was defeated. Back to the original motion. Comments or questions? Nick?
Mr. Chairman, this would be the first time that, Chairman-elect Grimm and I have ever disagreed on anything, I believe. That's not true. My concern is this, there's nobody here, I don't think, that would argue that we are doing this project because we got $25 million in federal funds. I think everybody would agree with that. If we didn't get the $25 million, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this. I know we've done some things with ARPA money to make sure that it's all ours. Some of those things we've done have caused me and other board members heartburn because I don't think it was the right way to do it. I want to make sure everybody understands that this project, these funds were awarded to the county and they were designed to be obligated before the end of this year. And this motion will do that. It will obligate those funds and keep us in compliance with the federal regulations that were set when we started this process. Now, the other part of it is we're supposed to have them expended by December 31st of 2026, and I think we will make that if we start in March. So I just want to remind the board that we are supposed to have this money obligated by the end of this year, and according to the schedule that I've seen, there is no other board meeting in this year but this one.
Any other comments, Mike?
I've opposed the additional floor because I think it'll be misused and it may not meet the needs. So I will oppose this, but I'd like to add to or disagree with Nick. There is a need for this 4A building. There is a need, and we've had the opportunity to receive the money, and it's an opportunity to build this building. The second thing is, we've obligated that money last meeting or so. Every dollar of that 25 million was put to something else, and the dollars were moved to the general fund. So we're spending general fund money. In my knowledge, what I've heard, we've already obligated that ARPA money. And this is money sitting there, and we're gonna use it.
Bill?
I think I agree with Mr. Harris, and I want to ask Mr. Deliri to comment. With regards to the ARPA money being obligated, it was my understanding that it had been obligated, not necessarily for this expenditure, but for other items in the last budget that we did in for 2024, as I recall.
That's correct. One of the examples being the Broadway building with the purchasing it and also remodeling it. There was a number of expenses that we were able to use for it. The board contracted with Bellwether to be a consultant for using the funds, and the methods that we did, they all deemed acceptable. We also had our audit for last year completed, and the external auditors also thoroughly looked through some of these items too, and agreed with how the reimbursements were made from an auditing standpoint from our books. So we have used all of the ARPA funds in the appropriate way, and this is now cash that we have in our capital improvement plan.
And if I could just follow up, I think I said for 2024, I meant in 2024. It was actually the last of the money was allocated in the budget we passed just last month, correct?
Most of the reimbursements had come in toward the end of last year, where we recognized a significant amount of it, and there was a portion of it remaining that the board had approved within the last couple of months. That was the last of it. So 100% of it has been committed and used for the uses at this point.
I just want to make a couple comments. I want to respectfully disagree with Brett as far as holding off, because I had actually written down 2+ years, and as Chairman Zimmerman said, it's been over 3 years that we've been kicking the football around. I don't think that this is a lame duck board. I don't think 3 new members is critical. The board has transitioned over the last 3.5 years. While all of this discussion, John can sit here and attest that he's playing catch up. The board has transitioned, and we could have gone bid spec route. Could have picked our architect. We could have went out for bids, and they would have been what they would have been. And we didn't go completely design build. We went with the RFQ and the RFP route, and that was 9 months ago. So they've been working for 9 months, and we gave them this deadline. Like, it wasn't new. We've discussed this and voted on. This was the path, but we needed a quarterback. No one in the county was picking up the ball and running with it. That's why we've been working on it for, as you said, over 3 years. We got our quarterback. The selection committee selected PJ Heron-Wold to be that quarterback, and they've been, from what I can see, a phenomenal quarterback. They were pushing it down the field. They've been bringing value engineering. I feel they have been doing their due diligence, and they have been doing what they were tasked to do. So I just want to say that I think we need to get it across the finish line tonight.
Right?
I believe that this board is the one that should be approving it, not the new board. I'm sure they're fine people, these new members, but they have no idea what we're doing here. They can't, because they haven't been in the meetings. Yeah, they can research it, but this is the board that should be making the decision, and I hope we move ahead.
Any other comments, questions? John?
Thank you, Chairman. And I did vote at the property meeting to bring this to the full board because, as Tammy mentioned, I am fairly new, as even a couple others here are, and I thought it would be a good thing that the full board, especially many of you members who've worked tirelessly on this, to get to vote on it. I want to bring up, so Jeff Bezos and Amazon approach to decision making is one I look to in business. One driving factor for them is speed. He actually says, quote, "Speed matters in business. Many decisions are reversible and do not need extensive study. We value calculated risk-taking," end quote. One of the things I strive to do is to make the best decision with what I have on a daily basis, knowing that I don't know what I don't know. Many may argue that's quite a bit. I've heard the explanation of large freightliner and a speedboat, where the freightliner can't turn as quickly, so the changes are slower and more methodical. I would argue that government in general tends to move too slowly in many things and could be more streamlined, yet there is a reason to move slow overall. Specifically to the matter at hand tonight, then I view this decision in 2 parts. Do we like PJ Harrow? Will we use them? This would be a full commitment to that, I believe, tonight, which I've not heard anyone speak against. And number two, do we have enough information, or is there a lot of information outstanding? There will always be things, we do not know that we don't know, as I mentioned. But here we have many things that we do know that we don't know. If this were a business decision, I may be more open to taking that calculated risk. In this instance, I do believe we should be more like the Freightliner and get all of our answers to things that we know we don't know. We will be spending a lot of taxpayers' money. In my opinion, it deserves that time, though I understand many others that have been working on this may disagree. Thank you.
Nancy?
Well, I think I've commented before that we seem to be dragging our heels someplace, always. A lot of us are very conservative about our own spending. That's very good. I think we've been very conservative with this whole project. 3.5 years. I mean, I wish I could say that 3.5 years of my life was spent studying this project. It wasn't. We trust our people who are on the committee. They've worked hours trying to get a plan to work. They've worked with the management team here in the county, and I think we've gone with one of the best firms we could use for the project itself. I think it's time to just get going here and get this done. Guys, it's easy to talk about it, and we can talk about it for 10 years. I'm gonna be off the board by that time, I'll tell you. But I do think it's something for us to finally just put our foot down and say, let's get this done.
Any other comments? Greg?
As property committee chairman at this point in time, I would just like to say that this came down from executive, this RFP thing, with this guaranteed maximum price, with a total outline by professionals and contractors that we trust and have done nothing but a great job with Wold and that. We've also spent upwards of $600,000 so far with Wold for their architectural services, so we're deep into this project. And I'd just like to say that this is the process that we contracted with, this is the process that we are going with, this is the process that it seems like that's what the board voted for, 11-4 with a $44 million budget. We've fulfilled everything that was surveyed from us from 3 years ago, and now I'll get to the undertone that some people in the room do not want to build the building that we're planning on building. And with that said, they also think that delaying this project will soften up the vote of the commitment of the board members by saying we're going to have 2 new board members and whatever, which is fine. That's politics at its finest. But I'll just say, you know, Mr. Sutherland from PJ Harris said, you know, the bids go out in the wintertime for next year's projects. The bids get cheaper because they're looking for work now. 3 more months on delay waiting for bids. We still control the whole process, all the bidding process. We control all the costs. We still have meetings with stakeholders internally with our staff. I just can't see where delaying this GMP, which is just simply on an outline of a contract, would help us in any way, especially when we know that there's a possibility that the building that we're talking about won't be built as it's designed, which will even slow the process down even further, 3-6 months, whenever the new leadership decides that they want it to happen their way. So we're in this thing deep. There's been over, I'll bet you every bit of 40 meetings about it. It seems to me like there's been 40 meetings about it. And you know, I just have been told that I won't be property committee chairman next go around, so the new property committee chairman, which will be new committees, which will make a difference on the voting and the processes of membership of committees and leadership. So I just want everybody to know there's undertones that are not leading toward what we've already voted for, 11-4 at $44 million. Thank you.
Nick?
I've been on this board for a number of years, and we've always wanted to know what it's going to cost us. we know what it's gonna cost us. It's guaranteed what it's gonna cost us. We can finalize that tonight. If something happens in the world 3 months from now, 4 months from now, where the prices go up, and it could, we're protected. We know we're going to build this building, everybody's in agreement we need to build this building. Why are we even considering not locking in this price tonight?
Ready to vote? So a yes vote, we approve the guaranteed maximum price with PJ Hair. A no vote, I guess we start from square one. So, John, you wanna call a roll call?
Atkins,
Are you gonna be doing it rotating or?
I can do that. Crawford,
I vote no.
Zephyr,
Yes.
Mark Goddard, Sam Goddard, Graff,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Harris,
No.
Hopkins, Justin,
Yes.
Longfellow,
Yes.
Mennel,
Yes.
Mingus,
Yes.
Nelms, Patchett,
No.
Frail,
Yes.
Rich Simpson,
Yes.
Schmidtall,
No.
Schneider, Sin,
Yes.
Stahl,
No.
Atkins.
Yes.
Motion passes.
What was it? 12-7? Motion passes. All right, moving on, item 27. Can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Hopkins, second by Hall. We just had one quick correction, correct?
Yes, at the bottom of the sheet provided everyone, it was the name of the account was correct, just the number wasn't correct on there. So we're just requesting that amendment be made to use the revised sheet.
Motion for, need a motion for the amendment. Motion by Frail, second by Harris. You see it at the bottom of the sheet. Do you have a question, Russ?
No, I'm secret finish.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm all in favor of the new number, so the amendment, that we're gonna vote on. But I just wanna point out that when we come back to the final resolution, and it would have been true of all these, but we approved all the rest of the transfers in the consent agenda. But any transfer requires a 2/3 vote of the county board, not a simple majority. Thank you.
Okay, so it's not this one. So, okay, yeah, it's just to make the change there. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Item, excuse me, as amended, I'm sorry, back as amended. I've only done this how many times here? Even Christmas. Back to the resolution as amended. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Down to item 33 that just came out of committee. Can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Crawford, second by Graff. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So noted. Motion passes. Item 36 on the squad car. Can I get a motion? Motion by Nelm, second by Rich Stimpson. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Item 37, the fiber optic ring. Can I get a motion by Schneider, second by Atkins? Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? that's right. All right, so the appointments, I need a motion for 43, 44, and 45. Motion by Deppert, second by Sin. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And then I need a motion for item 46 that came out of committee. Motion by Prail, second by Deppert. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And then item 47, can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Joesting, second by Rich Stimson. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, any unfinished business? All right, any new business? Okay, the bills were sent out. Thank you, Hannah, for all you do. So, the meetings are a little light in December. Can I get a motion for the calendar? Motion by Crawford, second by Schmidtko. Any changes? Yeah, Mike?
I'm sorry, I have a question after the vote.
Okay. All those in favor of the calendar signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Mike?
Question, Hannah sent out an email today on revenue
Yeah.
and said we're over 2.7 over budgeted. Was that for this public safety tax?
I believe so, yes.
And others.
And others, okay. So things are looking good right now. Michael Deppert, last meeting, thank you so much. I appointed you right in the middle of wind farms, and you probably hate me for that, but sorry. All right, if there's no other business, I'm adjourned forever, so.
You're hard tomorrow.
No.